All right, good night, ladies and gentlemen. I'm what you need. You're watching my channel. If you like what you're seeing, don't forget you can like, share, subscribe, comment, and donate via Western Union or Money Program. Now, I already spoke about the prediction and matchup for David Benavidez versus um, Ronald Ellis. Okay, that fight is coming up this weekend, and I made my prediction on it. I think that David Benavidez is going to knock out Ronald Ellis within 5 rounds. But on this weekend is pretty huge. It's a big weekend of fights. And I got to say, the Zone has a fantastic card, and we're going to be talking about the Zone's card primarily. You're going to have to excuse the dogs. There's a lot of dogs behaving and acting up because some dogs coming up the street or something. So they're going to be making a lot of noise. Anyway, we're going to talk about the Zone card, and feel free to hop on the program as a guest. You can join as a guest via the link that you will see in the chat section. So feel free to join as a guest in the link in the chat section. Just remember to mute your mic on entry, and also that you should stay respectful, and that's all we ask for. Now, you know, people criticize Eddie Hearn for a lot of things. One of the things Eddie Hearn does is he gives you some really compelling matchups. And this weekend is going to be matchup of matchups. You know what I mean? It's going to be great. So before I'm going to leave here because the dogs are really acting up like clowns. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to go in the back here. Hold on one second. I'll just move to the back here, and we'll talk a little bit more about the weekend fights here in the insulated room instead. All right, and then you guys feel free whenever you want to join in the discussion. Just want to insulate from there. I may come back here at a later time, but the dogs are just really acting the fool. All right, so we're going to talk about the weekend fights. Shout out to the Snyder Cut. Just giving a quick promo for the Snyder Cut. The Snyder Cut is coming out March 18th, so check it out. That's on my movie channel. And that's an upcoming movie that we really highly anticipated as fans, and we're able to love you for it and get it. So that's great. But we're going to talk about the DAZN card. Really good card. We're talking about a triple championship. We're having a triple championship fights. We're going to have a unification between Roman Chocolatito Gonzalez and Juan Francisco Estrada. We're going to have a super flyweight fight between Hiroto Kayaguchi versus the Mexican Axel Arrogan Vega. And really enjoy watching the highlights of those guys and also their fights, some of their fights. And then a non-championship fight, but a very interesting one. There's this guy, he's a prospect, Austin Williams, and he's jumping up levels to face Dennis Douglan. The only thing about it is Douglan. The only thing about it is that though Dennis Douglan has a lot of experience, his last fight was an 8-rounder. So I don't know. And he lost it by split decision. So, but that's also a very interesting challenge for Austin Williams. And so we're going to go through these fights now. And again, feel free to jump on here. And of course, I'm going to have this segment, which is past versus present. And we're going to talk about, I want to hear you guys' opinion on Cecilia Braekhus facing Holly Holm. They were both welterweights, as well as Hiroto Kayaguchi facing Ricardo Lopez. So that's our past versus present segment that we will have. Okay, there you go. Yeah. So looking forward to doing that with you guys. Gonna get into it. All right. Now these fights are these fights are compelling fights. They're very compelling fights. I'm not gonna lie. The zone card is one in which I have difficulty telling you who would win what. Let's first start off with Jessica versus Cecilia Braekhus. Jessica McCaskill versus. Now she beat Cecilia Braekhus the first time around. She got the decision. I think it was, I don't know if it was a close fight or it was unanimous or what, but she got the decision the first time. Now Cecilia Braekhus is going to try and get back her. She's going to try and get back her belts, right? So Cecilia Braekhus was undisputed for a very long time. Just McCaskill, she became undisputed. Will she stay undisputed is the question. So I can't really say how this fight will go. This is a 50-50 fight, in my opinion. Even though Jessica McCaskill beat Cecilia Braekhus, the question really is, can Cecilia Braekhus take back her title? Or can Jessica McCaskill establish herself and show that she really is truly undisputed? So we'll see. I don't know. We'll see. This is an interesting card, and it can go one way or the other. I would like to hear what you guys' opinions on that fight will be. The other fight is a hot one, long overdue. It's Roman Gonzalez versus Juan Francisco Estrada. And that fight has been in the works for a while. These both guys now are super flyweights. So the question is, can Roman Gonzalez, with his clean punching and his very efficient way of moving, has he been able to deal with boxers sufficiently enough to be able to deal with Juan Francisco Estrada? We know Juan Francisco Estrada, even though he is somewhat of a defensive boxer, he's engaging enough that he gets hit. Okay, sometimes unnecessarily because he's kind of an aggressive fighter at the same time. And he had a stoppage over and in his rematch with forgot what his name is. In his rematch with him, he stopped him. Okay, so can Juan Francisco Estrada win the fight against Roman Gonzalez, or will Roman Gonzalez beat Juan Francisco Estrada? Now, a lot of people are assuming that Estrada will beat Gonzalez, because a lot of people, I think, are somewhat underestimating Gonzalez. I think, honestly, that it is possible that Estrada could beat Gonzalez. It's possible. It's possible Gonzalez could beat Estrada. It's a kind of 50-50 fight again. And that's what makes these fights kind of interesting and intriguing to me. That's interesting. Why is that happening? So I'm interested in seeing how these fights will pan out and what exactly will happen ultimately in the end. But as of now, it's a 50-50 fight for me. But I will pick somebody by the end of the night. Now, the other fight is a junior lightweight fight. Okay, it's a junior lightweight fight. It's a division just above minimum weight, and it's Hiroto Kayaguchi versus Axel Arrogan Vega. I looked at Axel Arrogan Vega, very sharp boxer. He's only 4'9", but he's very, very sharp. Okay, and he's an exciting boxer when he's boxing, and he's boxing, sufficiently, right? So it would be an interesting fight to see, and I would love to see how that fight pans out, to be honest with you. Hiroto Kayaguchi is a very good boxer. He goes to the body. That's why he gets a lot of stoppages. He stopped Heki Buckler to get his title, the lightweight title. I think it was WB. Is it WBA? I think it was WBA. And so they're fighting. He's defending his title against Axel Arrogan Vega. I think this is like the third or fourth time. The thing about it is, Axel Arrogan Vega is very sharp. I don't think he's met a boxer like this. He's a sharp boxer, short little guy. He goes in and out. His fighting style is more in and out fighting style. However, he boxes, so he's like on the outside. He can jab his way in, try to work his way in, and then he tries to work on the inside. Now, of course, Hiroto Kayaguchi is more of an infighter, bobs and weaves and dips. So it's interesting. He's not fast. He's not particularly fast. He's not particularly quick. He has good timing. So it's a very interesting fight. And I actually I'm thinking of the underdog here. I think Axel, Aragon, Vega can pull off the upset, to be honest with you. But if Kayaguchi can go to the body, he definitely can stop him. Because Kayaguchi, that's what he does. He invests to the body, and that's how he gets his fights. That's how he wins his fights. So it would be very interesting to see how that pans out ultimately in the end. But these three fights are very interesting to me. All right. The other one, like I said before, is Austin Williams versus Dennis Douglan. And Williams, as I said before, is a prospect. Dennis Douglan is has a lot of experience, but he's kind of on the verge of being a journeyman, I guess. And so, will he just be a stepping stone, a nice, stiff, tough stepping stone for Austin Williams? We'll see. All right. Austin Williams, very sharp fighter. I mean, he stopped his last opponent in the very first round. Okay. And that was a very credible opponent. They have him stepping up, and he's stepping up to every single occasion. Now, the thing about it is, this is an 8-rounder. So he had been fighting 4-rounders and 6-rounders. He's stepping up to an 8-rounder against Dennis Douglan. And, well, we'll have to see how things pan out with that. But quite frankly, Austin is a southpaw. Dennis Douglan is a southpaw. So that should be a nice, interesting challenge as well to him. Of course, Dennis Douglan and Austin Williams has sparred just about everybody. I'm not too sure if he's under the Charlo's banner or not, but he is fighting on his own. He's very, very sharp, very, very quick. I did see some DK in him against, what was the guy's name? Has kind of Mexican name, was MMA fighter background, because he went a little longer than he usually goes. So he went like 4 rounds with the guy, and he faded a little bit. But for the most part, he's very sharp. He goes to the body. He's a smart fighter. He goes to the body. And that's going to be interesting. Dennis Douglan, he likes to push you. He's a pressure fighter. He has some good defense, and he likes coming forward and attacking. So, if Austin Williams is looking for somebody who's not going to back down, Dennis Douglan's the guy. Now, the other thing that's added to the equation, which makes this fight interesting, is Austin Williams has moved up from 160 to 168. So Austin Williams now moving up in weight to face Dennis Douglan, who's been like a career 168-pounder, 175-pounder. So that's going to be very interesting. Dennis Douglan has a lot of experience. Dennis Douglan, has seen all kinds of fighters. The question is, will Dennis Douglan's experience overcome Austin Williams and Dennis Douglan overrun him and probably knock him out? Or will Austin Williams, his skill and his expertise be shown to be above even that level, and then he needs tougher competition as he moves along, and then he'll move around to fast track him even more. So I'm not sure which one it is. Like I said, all these zone fights are tricky. I will pick one, though. I will pick somebody, but these are tricky fights. This is like a 50-50 fight, in my opinion. Again, all of them are like 50-50 fights. I'm telling you, man, DAZN has some really great cards here. All right, so let me just say this once again to those of you who are watching this video. To join as a guest, all you have to do is click the link in the chat section. But you will have to mute your mic on entry, and then just simply be respectful. And we can talk and chop this thing up. I would love to chop it up with some of you guys. The DAZN card is a pretty good card. All right. Now, let me take my picks on who I think will win or who I favor to win. But I'm telling you, all of these fights are 50-50 fights. Okay, because there's this caveat and everything. Let me start off with Hiroto Kayaguchi versus Axel Arrogan Vega. The thing about Hiroto Kayaguchi is he's been world champion at minimum weight, whereas Axel Arrogan Vega, he fell short of the mark. There was a guy, a southpaw, long, lengthy southpaw, that beat him. It was a boxer. Twice, even though he hurt the guy. But Hiroto Kayaguchi, this is the problem with it. Even though he has a decent jab and everything, he likes to work on the inside. So all of his length and height, he thinks he's 5'4", and Axel Arrogan is like 4'9". His height and length probably won't utilize those things against the shorter guy. He can easily beat this kid. But I feel like all his efforts are going to be to try to close the distance on him and try to get in on him. And I think that's just going to work in Axel Arrogan Vega's in his favor, because Axel Arrogan Vega, he's a guy who's very, very sharp. He's a very sharp boxer, and he stopped guys because of his sharpness. He's not the heaviest puncher, but he's compact. He's sturdy. He's never been stopped. He's only been beaten by one guy, and that was a world champion at minimum weight twice. But he beat the guy twice, but he beat him basically in the championship level. And I see this kid as a contender knocking on the door. Now, he's only had one fight at super lightweight, whereas Hiroto Kayaguchi's had several. So that may, again, play in Kayaguchi's favor. Kayaguchi probably be the heavier guy, the stronger guy, probably the heavier puncher as well. So we don't know. And that's the thing that plays into it. And then, when you have the reach advantage and the height advantage, you should use them. So hopefully he's a smart enough boxer to know that, because he's definitely not going to be as quick as Axel, Arrogan, Vega, and he's probably not going to be as sharp either. But the question is, if he works the body, could he break down Axel, Arrogan, Vega enough so that now we're looking at a fight that's totally different, and he could probably get him out of there? So I don't know. So we have to look to see. That's why I said it's a 50-50 fight. Will I go for the underdog on this one on the upset? Why not? It's the year of upset. So I'm going to go with Axel, Arrogan, Vega, who has been a contender. He just never quite won the world championship. I'm going to gamble that Hiroto Kayaguchi, in trying to go to the body, is going to get tagged up by Axel Vega and Axel Arrogan Vega. And eventually, Axel Arrogan Vega is going to put so much punishment on him that he probably might just stop him, strange as it may sound. So this is just my thoughts. I know it's a 50-50 fight. I can't really tell you who will win. I'm just picking one. All right. So this is I like Axel Arrogan Vega, so I'm going to pick him. That's it. It has nothing to do with Hiroto Kayaguchi's record and everything he's accomplished. You would usually go with Hiroto Kayaguchi. He would be the favorite. I just feel that this little guy, this 4'9" little guy, has something to offer. And that with this opportunity in front of him, I'm going to back the underdog, the smaller guy, the guy who has to go uphill to accomplish in this case. So I'm going to back Axel Arrogan Vega. If you want to put your money on something, though, I think you should put your money on Hiroto Kayaguchi. But in this case, I'm going to pick the underdog. And if he pulls off the big upset, then I was right, and I'll be happy. With respect to Austin Williams versus Dennis Douglan, I'm actually going to pick Austin Williams to win this fight. It's a huge step up for him in some respects, and yet at the same time, it's not that huge a step up. What I mean by that is the amount of rounds that he's going to go through. It's only 8 rounds. That's one. 2, Dennis Douglan just lost to a guy who I never heard of, who had losses as well, and was also in an 8-rounder. So if that guy could beat Dennis Douglan, I've seen Austin Williams, very sharp southpaw and so on. I think Austin Williams could do it too. It depends. If he can go 8 rounds, first of all, then he probably can beat Dennis Douglan. He's on the upswing. Dennis Douglan's on the downswing. And I think this young buck is gonna take the challenge, and let's see if he can pass it. I'm gonna go with Dennis Douglan. Austin Williams on that one, instead of the old guard Dennis Douglan. Okay, so I got Axel Arrogan Vega. I got Austin Williams. That's my pick. Now you guys need to do your picks as well. You tell me who you would pick. Now, in terms of Roman Gonzalez versus Juan Francisco Estrada, I'm sure a lot of people are picking Estrada to win, and probably rightfully so. But I am thinking of going with Chocolatito, Roman Chocolatito Gonzalez. Now, you ask me why. It's a great question. The last guy he fought was a boxer. Juan Francisco Estrada is a boxer. I thought Roman Gonzalez, while the other guy looked like he won the fight, still, I think Roman Gonzalez is sharper than Juan Francisco Estrada. Estrada has been fighting the same way all along. He still gets tagged up with punches. He still keeps his head in the pocket when he shouldn't have it in the pocket. And he still allows himself to be hit with certain punches he should not be hit with. The last fight I saw him do, I thought it was very sloppy. He still was the guy that was going to the body more, and so he won that fight. I don't know if he can do that to Roman Gonzalez's body. If he could, that's great. But the catch-22 will be, can he go to Roman Gonzalez's body? Roman Gonzalez generally protects his body pretty well. But we'll see. I mean, there's a blueprint with Sarong Visai. So if Estrada can sensibly use Sarong Visai's blueprint somehow, some way, at least the ideas behind what he did. Maybe Juan Francisco Estrada can beat Roman Chocolatito Gonzalez, but I'm going to go with Roman Chocolatito Gonzalez to win. Again, it's not the intuitive pick. If you were to bet, I guess you would go with Juan Francisco Estrada to beat him. But for me, it's going to be Roman Chocolatito Gonzalez who's going to beat Juan Francisco Estrada, probably by split decision or something like that. But that's who I'm picking to win. And the last set of people, Jessica McCaskill versus Cecilia Braekhus. I'm gonna pick Cecilia Braekhus to avenge her loss and get back her championship belts and be again welterweight champion of the world. Again, styles make fights, and we could say Jessica McCaskill beats Cecilia Braekhus and she'll beat her again. But again, this is a 50-50 fight, so I have to just pick one. And I'm gonna pick Cecilia Braekhus, the legend, to avenge her loss. Jessica McCaskill is going to be in America. Cecilia Braekhus is going to be in America, but I think she's going to avenge her loss like a true champion and get back her titles. That's what I truly believe. And we'll see if that is so. All right. So those are my picks. I'm standing by them. Cecilia Braekhus beats Jessica McCaskill. Roman Chocolatito Gonzalez beats Juan Francisco Estrada. Hiroto Kayaguchi loses to Axel Vega. Austin Williams beats Dennis Douglan. And those are all the picks I have. I mean, if you guys have different picks, leave it in the comment section, or if you want to, you can join here, come up as a guest, and have your picks. But this is difficult to pick because, in my opinion, these are all close fights. I mean, the zoners are done themselves. Okay, all right. Let's talk past versus present. So past versus present. Cecilia Braekhus versus Holly Holm. Who do you have? Who would you pick to beat the other? And then we also have at light heavyweight, at light flyweight, we have Hiroto Kayaguchi. If he was to face Ricardo Lopez at light flyweight, who do you pick to win? All right, so let me start off with Hiroto Kayaguchi versus Ricardo Lopez. Hiroto Kayaguchi is the guy who fights in front of his opponent. So he doesn't move away, he doesn't box away, he circles you, and he's staying in the pocket. Against Ricardo Lopez was just a tremendously skilled and very clean puncher and fighter. It would be a good fight. Hiroto Kayaguchi protects his body pretty well. Ricardo Lopez wasn't super duper fast, but it would still be an interesting fight. I think Ricardo Lopez, though, would set traps for Hiroto Kayaguchi, and I think he would stop him. But I may be wrong. Maybe Kayaguchi beats Ricardo Lopez. This is not that easy to call. Again, Cecilia Braekhus versus Holly Holm. The way our Braekhus fights versus Holly Holm fighting is interesting. I don't know if Braekhus ever faced Holly Holm. That's another thing. But if she has, and she beat Holly Holm, which I don't remember Holly Holm being beaten by Braekhus, so therefore I have to assume she never faced her. That would be interesting. I gotta say, I think I have Braekhus on this one. But Holly Holm, I think she was a southpaw boxer, if I'm not mistaken. Holly Holm, though, is an interesting fighter, and I can't run anything past her, but I think Braekhus would beat her at welterweight, even though Holly Holm was a welterweight herself. So those are my picks. I want to hear from you. If you didn't want to, if you guys didn't come through here right now, that's okay. But I left this opportunity for people to chop it up. I think the DAZN card is excellent. This is an excellent DAZN card because I can't even give my picks. I think all of them are 50-50 fights that I just mentioned. And to have 3 championship fights on one card, oh, come on. That's phenomenal. So my next stream is going to be on Billy Joe Saunders and his comments on DAZN, the program with Barak and the other gentleman. And we'll see. Ak and Barak actually is the program. And we'll see how things work out with that. But until then, this is what you need. I'm going to catch you guys later. I'm out. Peace.